Blessings, beloveds. It's me, Lori Ann Spagna, here with you for a few moments to chat briefly about the upcoming 999 Triple Portal. It's a Triple Stargate Portal. September 9th, 2025 is the only true and real Triple Stargate Portal, although certainly it could also be said that there's another one on 918, since that's also a 999, and of course 927, since that's also a 999. So within the month of September, we have, in a sense, three peaking periods of 999, which is amplified because it's already a triple Stargate. And within that window of that Stargate portal, there is also an eclipse season, so an eclipse cycle. So it falls right in the middle of two eclipses in September. So that's what we're going to be reviewing today, how that affects us, how that will affect us, and how we can best navigate, since it's a period of heightened intensity where overall these eclipse windows and these portal windows, which I've been doing a number of videos. If you missed the earlier two videos I did, please make sure you see them. Those are the last two videos on the 999 Triple Stargate Portal. I'd even go back and watch the last few I did on the 88 Lionsgate, because there's just so much to understand about these portals and how they work. But they're designed to elevate humanity's consciousness and provide humanity these windows or opportunities for not only an elevation or an expansion of consciousness, which does not mean you necessarily as a human. It never means you're leaving your body. It means you're bringing in or unifying more with the so-called higher realms or the lighter realms. I prefer the word lighter or pure over higher, because it's not directional like that. You know, we always use the word higher, but really it's lighter, it's pure, where we as individuals are purified of density, which is dross, heaviness, which could equate to separation, suffering, and all the things we associate with 3D. So these portals are opportunities for that. Big up level, meaning unification with the divinity that we are, opportunities. Now, I want to talk more specifically about 999 and these eclipse windows. And first, I just want to say the 9, both of the other videos, we talked a little bit about the numerology of 9, which is all about transformation. 9 can correlate to the planet Pluto, and that's also always about transformation. And 9 oftentimes in animal wisdom can potentially sometimes correlate to the snake, and it does happen to be a year of the snake, which is also all about transformation. It's just so funny, right? Because when the divine is looking to sort of get a message through to us, it will show up everywhere if we're willing to look at all the signs, right? It shows up in numerology. It shows up in astrology. It shows up in the portals. It's just really funny, right? And, you know, it's available to us. And, of course, just looking in the external world, you can see how the world is going through massive transformation. Now, needless to say, as the world goes through this massive transformation, we're feeling it in an intensified way. And that's part of the challenge, right? And this is one of those portal windows. By the way, I want to say a couple other things about 9. In Buddhism, 9 is also representative of enlightenment, of liberation from suffering, and of the various levels or layers of consciousness. So Buddhism recognizes the significance of this number 9 and the energy and consciousness associated with it. This is also true to say that other, like in the Norse wisdom or the Celtic wisdom, there was wisdom gained through the number 9 as well, through going through a cycle of 9, which is recognized as rebirth. Birth, rebirth and initiation. And if you're into the ruins, if you've ever heard of those, I love for years. Oh, I used to be addicted to those when I was younger. And I was always amazed at how accurate they were until you overused them. And then it started to didn't make so much sense anymore. But the ruins always would reveal that, right? That the 9 is about birth and rebirth and then initiation and the cycles associated with that. In ancient, I guess you could say Hebrew or the Kabbalah, 9 corresponds to the gateway that opens the realms to the divine. Between the divine, the so-called higher realms, the God, the source, the infinite, the non-physical, and the physical world. So 9 is very significant. And even if you look at other areas of life, 9 is a gestation window, a birth and a rebirth window, So it's significant. And it's always about reclaiming remembrance. 9 is also in numerology. 9 is about rising to a whole new height. It corresponds in the tarot to the hermit, which is like climbing the mountain, holding the light and shining the light from the mountaintop to help others find their way too. So 9 is also recognized as its own form of enlightenment with that card, and also climbing to new heights, and also shifting to service. It's like one arrives and then helps others as well. That's what that card means, and the corresponding number means. So it's important to understand this gateway. It's a major threshold number, and it's all about really, especially when we're talking about correlating to Pluto energies, it's about transmuting those areas where we have felt powerless. Because Pluto's all about, in a way, showing us our powerlessness so that we can reveal our true power, which always comes through unity with our source, authentic unity, not external source, the source within, right? The energetic union with the divine. So when we're talking about this gateway, that's really what it's symbolic of. Now, when you correlate this to the fact that we're in the middle of 2 eclipses, let's just understand what these eclipses really are asking us to do. First, the first eclipse is coming up right before the official 999 Triple Stargate Portal, in the sense that it's already in the month of September, right? But it's on September 7th, and we have a total eclipse of the moon. And the total eclipse of the moon, it won't be visible from North America, but nonetheless, it affects us globally. And this total eclipse is happening in the sign of Pisces, which is water, and it's a north node eclipse. So the north node, meaning the direction we're moving in, is in Pisces, which is all about water. But really, since it's the first of the 2 eclipses, eclipses are always symbolic of what are we letting go of and what are we making space for. So the north node in eclipse on September 7th is symbolic even of a 9-7. It's saying we're moving in the direction of more unity and connection through what's the water element, the emotional depths of union. Because Pisces is often said to be first it's the last sign. So the September 7th total eclipse of the moon in the sign of Pisces is symbolic of coming into deeper, heartfelt, spiritual connection. Pisces is often referred to as the 12th sign of the zodiac, meaning depths, watery depths, although It's also very social in the sense that it's union and connection. And it's asking us, in a sense, to move in the direction of spiritual depth and connection. 7, by the way, since it happens to be on the 7th, is often symbolic of grace and spiritual union, and also discernment. So one of the things I'm saying is we're developing more discernment about what's true, real, and authentic. And we're also developing, or meant to be developing, more grace and more authentic union with our own source. And 7 is also, in the light side, symbolic of peace and harmony. So, of course, it's asking us to develop that. Now, the shadow side of that always shows us where we're not in alignment. Anywhere where you have to argue or debate or prove rightness or wrongness. And that shows up on the world stage, of course. Just recently on my own YouTube channel or one of my social medias, you know, you can feel it when people are sort of putting up an argument or debate or trying to prove something right or wrong. You know, the best way to navigate that is to say, okay, fine. You have every right to your perspective. Like, I have no desire to engage with that energy. It's draining. It's depleting. It's exhausting. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, their point of view. Some things are right, some things are wrong. Some things are true, some things are false. But the higher truth is, who do you want to be in the experience of it? Do you want to get into argument, debate, right and wrong, the game of duality? Or do you want to rise up to something higher, which is, or pure, and engage with energies that are more pure, such as peace and harmony? Okay, fine, all is well. That's a more appropriate kind of energy during this kind of a window. Now, the other thing to understand too is that through the development of discernment and through that unification with Source, understand ultimately part of this lesson, what we're meant to receive, accept, and allow, is that there is no right or wrong. All there are is infinite perspectives. There's no absolute right and wrong until you get into the realms of absolutes. And there are very few absolutes in this world. Once you start getting into the levels of absolute, you're beyond 5D. You understand? Beyond what we refer to as 5D. Because absolutes do not require belief for them to be absolutely true. They do not require agreement. And it doesn't matter whether somebody believes or not for absolute truth to be absolutely true. This is the reward of divine discernment. This is the reward of recognizing that you're not playing in the game of duality anymore. This is the reward of choosing divine peace, divine grace, divine union with Source. You start to have and develop greater discernment. And I'm not talking about silly, foolish things like an AI video. I'm talking about the big picture. Like, is the AI actually serving you in the best ways possible? Or is it meant to cause harm or detriment to you? See, I'm talking about way bigger, more visionary perspectives that are ultimately going to be serving you in the best ways possible with regard to your most benevolent, best life path and journey. So another aspect of this upcoming eclipse is helping you as you come into greater union with Source, as you choose peace and harmony, as you allow yourself to elevate or to expand into or to align with the purer frequencies. Those experiences associated with the density are just no longer interesting to you and don't really contain any real value to you. And so you simply don't engage with them. And this starts to change the way you experience life. It changes the dynamics of your relationships because you have more harmony in your relationships. It changes the dynamic of your work situation because you start only doing the work that really is fulfilling and rewarding for you. And this may happen more gracefully and gradually, depending on how much density you've engaged with in the past. Or it may happen in a more accelerated rate, depending on, again, where your frequency is, where your consciousness lies. But either way, when you're actively engaging in a conscious way through this portal window and recognizing how these eclipses are designed to serve you, that's how you begin to up-level or expand or elevate or align. These are all different ways to sort of explain more or less the same thing. As you're actually embodying more of the divine into your physical experience, into your earthly experience. This does, as I say, require active participation. The energies don't just, they don't just come to you. Although if you're in a 3D way, just learning about it through the brain or not actively participating through energy healing, energy transformation, energetic embodiment, active meditative types of experiences that bring you into union, if you're not actively participating, you'll be probably a tertiary benefit of this, but the intensities will be much more challenging. Much more challenging. I've seen far too many light workers, wave showers, healers, or just people who read and learn about this stuff through the brain, who know a lot about it, but they really haven't embodied it. And oftentimes we can call this a false light, because they know about it. They can speak the word. They can call you out on all the things they've read in a book, but they're not really embodying the true essences that are divine. And when you engage with them, a person like that, they're going to try to prove you wrong or argue and debate about something or point out all the things that you've heard a million times before, where you'll be like, oh, I've heard that a million times before. I don't need to. You might even feel like that. I've heard that a million times before, and somehow something is still eluding or escaping you. It's because deeper practice is needed. And it's not something that's of the old paradigm. It's not where you learn about this. And even breath work can only get you so deep. It's really about a union with the divine, the spark, the flame, the infinite, the all that is, that can only be done through sacred ritual, sacred practice, sacred invitation. And this is what we mean by energy work. Now, if you've been following, and I want to talk about the other eclipse too and navigating that, but if you've been following me on YouTube or listening to these videos or my podcast, then of course you know the 999 is a Triple Stargate Portal where we're doing DNA activations, but these activation calls have evolved over many, many years, and they've just become something so much deeper. And this is where we're doing these practices. We're actively engaging with the divine and coming into sacred union with the divine, not through the brain, not even through the physicality, although we do use that as a tool, beyond the physical. And what that means is we're not leaving our bodies. We're unioning with the divine from within our bodies. We're calling the divine in and through us as it activates and awakens within us and anchors itself through the depths of the core of our being, where we are unioning with it through the depth of the core of all that is. And this practice cannot be learned through the brain. It can only be directly experienced. And yes, if you're brand new to it, first timers, it takes a bit of time to really, but every practice is essential because you can't bypass it. You cannot bypass this stuff. This is why people struggle for years and years and years, because they don't find a practice that really gets them there. They do mindset shifting, they do brain changing, they do breath work, they visualize, which is still a function of the brain. They do different kinds of healing approaches, but they're not really getting into that sacred union with Source. So, in any case, I'm inviting you to join us, because there's just, this practice is so incredibly transformative. You can head over to LoriSpagna.com under the Live Events tab. You'll see speed activations, DNA activations, and you can join us for the 999 Triple Stargate Portal live event, energy DNA activations event. Yes, we do DNA activations. Yes, that's a huge part of it. And yes, there's channeling with the collective and guidance and wisdom that comes through that is unparalleled. Yes, it's all that and so much more. So I'm inviting you to join us, and I'll put the link below as well. Please register early so that you can get the early bird rate. It goes up like the last day or two before the event. It goes up because there's last minute processing that we end up having to do to kind of make sure the people have everything in the last minute. So please join us. All right, I want to just briefly mention, although I'll likely do another video on this, September 21st is a partial eclipse of the sun. So this eclipse is also not visible, but this eclipse will be in the sign of Virgo with the South Node. And that sign of Virgo is related to, we could say, the earth, the physical. It's what are we letting go of from our physical activities, our day-to-day activities, the way that we've been operating, the way that we've been living. You could say it's related to health, meaning things that are not healthy, not good for us, not aligned. The 21 is symbolic of the way we've communicated, so it could be related to accepting information from the mass media or from community. 3 is community and connection. It could also be related to, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. It could be related to old, outdated forms of traditional religion. What are we transmuting and letting go of related to the old paradigm or the third dimensional paradigm that is simply no longer serving us? Because as we shift into who we're becoming, we must let go of more of what is no longer part of our most benevolent best or serving us in our most benevolent best. And this is what this eclipse energy is designed to help us with. And because there's always, with a lunar eclipse on the 21st, that lunar eclipse will have a lot to do with the way we have, perhaps because the moon is about how we have felt, how we have nurtured ourselves, or how we have been nurturing ourselves, or even could be related to the mother, the inner mother. What are we letting go of with regard to the way we nurture, love, and care for ourselves, or have been nurtured and cared for, so that we can invite in a new kind of nurturing, loving, caring. And by the way, Virgo is Mother Earth, the ultimate mother. So I would suspect we will see some things related to, and this is not psychic per se, this is just related to, the recognition of this eclipse, recognizing the traumas that we've done to Mother Earth, letting go of the recognition of that we can no longer treat Mother Earth the way we've treated her. By the way, I just released a podcast episode, which was a direct channeling with Mother Earth. It was really awesome. I was astounded what came through. And I would recommend you get that. Go see it. It's at The Awakened Elevated Human. It will ultimately be released on YouTube, but the ones on YouTube are always a little bit later, just because of the way timing works. With my team, my editing team, and my podcast person, and my video team. So, in any case, take a look for that one, because it will be very insightful. We'll start realizing more and more during that September 21st eclipse. It's about shifting into the recognition that Earth matters, And of course, the shadow side will show us where that's not happening in alignment or union with the source, and where there's healing crisis. You know, what health or healing crisis, not only for Earth as a Virgo, but for our bodies. Now, it doesn't mean a crisis. It could be a total shift in the way we care for. So you want, you know, when you're navigating these eclipse windows, you want that which is for your best to be highlighted, your most benevolent best, rather than the shadow aspects. The way, when a shadow aspect is coming up, you're going to be going through extreme pain or suffering, some form of death, disease, divorce, or separation, where you feel separate from love, separate from your source, separate from yourself, separate from that which you desire, money, wealth, a prosperity, abundance, whatever it is. The shadow side is separation, pain, suffering, struggle, separate from health or well-being. The light side is always union with, remembrance of, reconnection to, realignment with, or alignment, you know, remembering, reunioning. This is why these sacred practices during these windows and these portals, these sacred portal windows, is so significant and important, because it vibrationally directs you, vibrationally unifies you with that which is more of the light. You're still experiencing duality, but in a whole different way, through the lens of the divine that is becoming more in you, through you, at one with you. And through that lens, that vibrational frequency, that attunement, that embodiment, your life becomes a living reflection to others, to the world, to yourself, most important, and to the divine, of who you are truly being. You are being and becoming that which you were always born to be and become. All right, I hope this is making sense, and I hope this is helpful. Of course, that's always my desire, to really contribute in the best ways possible. I hope you'll join us. Head over to LoriSpagna.com under the Live Events tab. Look for the DNA activations for the 999 Triple Stargate Portal, and please join us. Even if you can't be there live, you'll listen and replay. The energies are just as powerful and effective, transformative, and game changer energies. And of course, will really help you to navigate not only this portal, but the remainder of this year. Which, one last note about this, that has been, if you haven't really felt this kind of energy sort of being in a holding pattern, a lot of 2025 has been like that. Like you're sort of trying to move forward, but also held back. Like this push, pull, ebb and flow, a few steps forward, a few steps back. That is very often 9 energy, because it really wants you to have a breakthrough, but it doesn't want you to break through and just continue on in the old ways. So it's really, in a way, the energies of 9 and these eclipses, they're asking for you to move forward and break through, and yet in an entirely new and better and different way that is for your best. So you don't perpetuate the old. So you're not repeating the past or bringing the past into the future with you. So you're letting go of that which is just simply the old patterns, ways of operating and being that simply aren't serving you. Eclipses really bring that to the surface. So have faith. And Pluto, by the way, really makes you sort of aware of the ways you've been or felt powerless. And it can be discouraging, right? It can be. And it's not designed for that ultimately. It's ultimately designed to give you a breakthrough. So this window may be somewhat challenging, especially if you're not actively engaging in the pure frequencies. But have faith and know this. It's a window. It doesn't last forever. On the other side of this eclipse season, which eclipse seasons can take a while to wean off, but there is going to be massive breakthrough and transformation for your betterment. The question is, how will you navigate it? Will you navigate it with grace and ease, benevolence and elegance? Or will it be navigated through the lens of separation, with suffering and pain and struggle and sadness and grief, powerlessness and discouragement? The choice is yours. This is one of those opportunities that will really assist you in flowing rather than forcing, right? In aligning rather than resisting, in unifying rather than fighting or fragmenting, right? That's what these windows are about, and that's why there's a call to action, which is to engage with the pure energies that are coming in, that are available to us and for us during these portal windows, this triple portal of the 999 for transformation. And during this eclipse cycle, please join us for the 999 Triple Stargate Portal, and please have faith and know that that which is taking place is truly transforming us for our most benevolent best. It really is. And your forward movement and forward progress, it's ahead, I promise you. And these are just the bumps along the way that are inviting us to become more of who we are meant to be, so that our betterment can be revealed in us, through us, to us, right, and around us. All right, you guys, I'm signing off for now. I'm sending you so much love. I'm always wishing you your most benevolent best, and I hope to see you on our live webinar or in the recording during the 999 Triple Stargate. All right, farewell for now. Lots of love. Bye-bye.